Song beneath the ice. The Arctic wind howled across the endless expanse of ice, a mournful wail that echoed through the frozen void surrounding Ice Cross Station. It was March 5th, 2026, and the polar night had finally given way to a faint, gray dawn, the sun a pale disk barely rising above the horizon. Dr. Anna Larson, a 38-year-old biologist with sharp blue eyes and a braid of blonde hair tucked under her parka, stood at the edge of the drilling site, her gloved hands gripping a clipboard, her breath fogging in the 45°C air. Beside her, Marcus Vane, a 42-year-old geologist with a grizzled beard and a perpetual scowl, adjusted the drill's controls, his movements slow in the bulky thermal suit. Inside the station, a squat, modular structure of steel and reinforced glass, the rest of the team prepared for the day's work. Sofia Ramirez, a 35-year-old engineer with a quick smile and a knack for fixing anything. David Chen, a 30-year-old meteorologist whose nervous energy kept him pacing. And Clara Hoffman, a 40-year-old doctor with a calm demeanor that steadied the group. Ice Cross Station had been established 6 months ago to study the ancient ice of the Arctic, a project funded by an international coalition to understand climate history. But 2 weeks ago, Marcus's seismic scans revealed something extraordinary: a subglacial lake, trapped beneath 2 kilometers of ice, untouched for millions of years. The team had been drilling ever since, their excitement tempered by the isolation of their location, hundreds of miles from the nearest outpost, their only lifeline, a satellite radio that crackled with static during storms. Anna's focus was on the potential for microbial life in the lake, a discovery that could rewrite the history of biology. But as the drill bit deeper, she couldn't shake a growing unease, a feeling that something was watching them from beneath the ice. The drill broke through on the morning of March 6th, a hollow thunk echoing across the site as the bit pierced the final layer of ice. A geyser of freezing water erupted, quickly freezing in the air, and the team cheered, their voices muffled by the wind. Sophia lowered a probe into the borehole, its camera transmitting grainy images to the station's monitors. The lake was vast, its water a deep inky black, but the probe's lights caught something: shapes embedded in the ice walls, long and thin, their forms humanoid but wrong, their limbs too long, their heads featureless except for hollow sockets, where eyes should have been. Anna's heart raced as she zoomed in, her scientific curiosity warring with a primal fear. "These aren't fossils," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They're preserved," Marcus scoffed, wiping frost from his goggles. "Preserved? In a lake that's been frozen for millions of years? They're just rock formations, Anna." But his voice lacked conviction, and when the probe's audio picked up a sound, a low, melodic hum, like a distant choir, it silenced them all. The hum was rhythmic, almost a song, its notes weaving through the static, and it sent a shiver down Anna's spine that had nothing to do with the cold. David, monitoring the audio, turned pale, his hands shaking as he adjusted the dials. "That's not natural," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. It's structure, like a language." Clara, who'd been preparing the medical bay for any emergencies, joined them in the control room, her face drawn as she listened to the hum. "It's giving me a headache," she said, rubbing her temples. "It's like it's inside my skull." Sophia nodded, her usual confidence replaced by unease. "I feel it too. It's calling us." The hum grew louder, its melody shifting, and Anna heard it, a voice, woven into the song, whispering her name. "Anna, come to us." She froze, her clipboard slipping from her hands, the sound echoing in her mind. The others heard it too. Marcus heard his father, dead for 20 years. Sophia heard her brother, lost in a climbing accident. David heard his childhood friend, drowned at sea. Clara heard her mother, gone since she was a girl. The voices were soft, pleading, but they carried a weight that pressed against their chests, a longing that wasn't their own. That night, the temperature plummeted to 60 C, the station's heaters struggling to keep up, frost creeping up the walls, forming patterns that looked like eyes, watching them. The hum continued, looping through the speakers even after Sophia turned off the probe. Anna couldn't sleep, her dreams filled with visions of the lake, its black water rippling, the shapes in the ice moving, their hollow sockets glowing with a faint blue light. She woke to find David standing over her, his eyes bloodshot, his voice a whisper. "They're singing to us, Anna. They want us to join them." She pushed him away, her heart pounding, and ran to the control room, where the monitors showed the probe's last images. The shapes in the ice were gone, the walls smooth, as if they'd never been there. The next day, Marcus insisted on drilling a larger hole to send down a manned submersible, a small pod they'd brought for deep ice exploration. "We need samples," he said, his voice tight, his hands trembling as he worked. But Anna's analysis of the probe's data revealed something chilling. The shapes weren't fossils, but organisms, their cells intact, their DNA unlike anything on Earth. "They're in stasis," she said, her voice shaking. "The hum, it's waking them up." Clara, who'd been monitoring the team's health, reported rising stress levels, nosebleeds, and hallucinations. Sophia swore she saw shadows moving under the ice. David kept hearing footsteps in the empty corridors, and Marcus claimed the ice was whispering to him, telling him to dig deeper. On March 8th, the ice began to crack. It started as a low rumble, a vibration that shook the station, sending equipment crashing to the floor. The team ran outside, their headlamps cutting through the darkness, and saw it fissures spreading across the ice, glowing with a faint blue light. The hum now a song, its melody haunting, beautiful and terrifying. The cracks reached the station, the walls groaning as the ice beneath shifted, and the temperature dropped further, the thermometer shattering at 80 C. Sophia's hands froze to the submersible's controls, her screams cut off as her skin turned to ice, her body cracking like glass, her blood freezing in midair. The song grew louder, the voices clearer. "Join us, join us," and David laughed, a hollow, broken sound, before running into the storm, his headlamp disappearing into the darkness, his voice joining the chorus. Marcus, driven by a manic need to see them, lowered the submersible into the borehole, ignoring Anna's pleas. The pod's camera showed the lake's depths, the water swirling with shadows, the shapes now free, their bodies made of ice and darkness, their limbs long and jagged, their hollow sockets glowing as they swam toward the pod. Marcus screamed as they reached him, the camera cutting out, but his voice echoed through the radio. "They're beautiful, Anna. They're the song." Before it turned to a gurgle, the pod imploding under the pressure, the ice above cracking further. Clara and Anna barricaded themselves in the medical bay, the station collapsing around them, the walls buckling, the ice outside pressing in. The song was deafening now, a symphony of voices, and Clara's eyes turned glassy, her breath shallow. "I can hear my mother," she whispered, her hands reaching for the door. Anna tried to stop her, but Clara pushed her away, her strength unnatural, and walked into the storm, her body freezing mid-step, her form a perfect ice statue, her face frozen in a smile, her voice joining the song. Anna was alone, the station's power failing, the lights flickering, the ice cracking beneath her feet. She ran to the radio, her hands shaking as she sent a distress signal, her voice hoarse. "This is Ice Cross Station. We need immediate evac. Something's in the ice. It's alive. It's singing." The radio cut out, the song drowning her words, and the floor gave way, plunging her into the lake below. The water was black, freezing, and the shapes surrounded her, their icy hands wrapping around her, their song filling her mind. "Anna, you're home." Her body froze, her scream becoming a note in the eternal song, the ice closing over her, sealing her in the depths. The next day, a rescue team arrived, but Ice Cross Station was gone, swallowed by the ice. its surface smooth, as if it had never been there. The team's last transmission went viral, and his voice a haunting whisper against the song, and across the Arctic, the ice began to hum, its melody spreading, calling to those who would listen.